welcome. We are very happy to have you here today. I'm very happy to see each of you. I'm very honored, very blessed, I'm fortunate to have each one of you's friendship and company. So thank you so much for that. And greetings from Barcelona. So I think Bhakti Teresa was just mentioning 1 minute ago. So here in Spain, these days, till Monday, again, second time in Spain. Interesting experience. We were sharing some thoughts on the Bhagavad Gita and the essential truths of the Bhagavad Gita in connection to some of the main themes of radical personalism. That's the inspiration that came. So yesterday we were talking about vulnerability and empowerment and individuation, and trying to point to different verses and sections of the Gita that actually speaking about that. And today we did the same, tried to do the same with topics like Guru Shishya, Guru Tattva, and also with the concept of divine ignorance or coexisting with the unknown. We already are familiar with some of these thoughts. So I think it's always very refreshing, very, at least for me, very astonishing in the good sense of the term, awesome, no? Awesome, awe, bringing awe and wonder, to realize how the Bhagavad Gita is talking about all those things, but we may need a certain particular lenses or language or approach to find individuation, to find vulnerability and empowerment and so on and so forth in its pages. It's so much is there. So it's such a delight to continue to discover and rediscover and rediscover this type of message, which we should never take for granted, as we have talked many times. One of the greatest dangers is to take for granted the unlimited gift that we've been given. So this is a very sobering and humbling experience to continue, remember and remind to myself and be reminded by the very nature of the Gita and revelation that students forever, as Srila Siddha Maharaj will say. So yeah, tomorrow we'll have the last session. On Sunday we'll be talking on non-duality, non-dual thinking, as we talked in Radical Personalism, and also the sacredness of matter, and how the Bhagavad Gita is pointing to all this as well. So that said, here we are for our ISTAGOSTHI. So we invite each of you, different unique souls that are joining us in Tadatmya Sangha, to bring to the table your contribution, your sincerity, your honest inquiry, your vulnerability, hopefully to be empowered, hopefully to gain further clarity in the journey we are traversing together. So that's it. Whomever would like to raise their digital hand or their physical one, you can do it. I'm seeing Rasang is doing. Yeah, I have the microphone on this side. That's why I cannot see the screen. I have to move like this. Yeah, first Rasangi, then Mayapur Sangam, and then Lakshmi Priya. And then let's see. So let's begin with Rasangi. Please unmute yourself.
Pranam, so happy to see you and be together.
The same.
Like,
thank you.
Feels like going to church, like
yes,
sacred.
a Saturday Mass. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say first that I loved what you said the other day when you wrote about gratitude and the humility in that last little thing you published from your book about.
Oh, I don't remember what you are referring to.
I'm just going to say that what I got was like, our humility comes from the enormity of the grace, the enormity of what we're given, not by being shamed or little. That's what what I got out of it. It's by realizing the fabulousness of what is coming to us, what is available, instead of feeling shame and little and bad about oneself. So I just wanted to share that. It was kind of an aha I had.
Yeah. And now I recall what you referred. There was a few paragraphs from the book I'm writing, right? In one
Yes,
commentary. Oh, okay.
yes. So that was lovely, because humble kind of has a bad connotation sometimes. It's been weaponized so much that it becomes like a eek word. You think you're doing something wrong, you're being puffed up. Something's wrong with you if you're not like that.
Yeah.
But the question I have is from chapter 11. And it's so great that you're talking about this week, but because my question is about the
chapter 11 of which book?
This Radical Personalism.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was thinking about Bhagavad Gita. I'm with the Bhagavad Gita, so I went to chapter 11 in my mind. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, okay. So the guru is called the facilitator of potential. Facilitator of potential.
If you say so. If you say so, we agree.
Well, that's what you have, facilitator of potential, in quotes. So I know, because of the work I do, what that kind of means to help facilitate someone's potential. As a guide, a coach, a therapist, whatever.
Yeah.
What does that mean as far as guru? Because that's not the concept of guru that I've ever had before.
Which concept you had before?
Well, because it's guru, someone sitting on a big high seat, and you're just to serve, and they don't know much about you, and they don't get very involved, that our job is to serve them, is to give up everything that's our identity, really, and serve them. I mean, even though I know Srila Prabhupada asked people, well, Prabhupada, what can I do to serve Krishna? What do you want to do to serve Krishna? That has always stuck with me, because I didn't hear that a lot. Mostly we were told what we were supposed to do. So I love this, and I would love if you could elaborate on it, how personal that is. And maybe you've experienced that before with your teachers, that they have facilitated your own unique potential. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Wow. So a few words on that. A few words on the guru as facilitator of potential. Of course, this is tied to the idea, and thank you for the question, tied to the idea, the famous words by Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj, the guru is our own potential appearing in front of us. No, this is a very important line that I always like to invoke when, in fact, today I invoked that idea in our class on guru. So the guru is our own potential appearing in front of us. No, the guru is ideally is that figure that embodies all that we can be, embodies our brightest prospect. Srila Sridhar Maharaj will many times will say beautifully, your future is brilliant. Your future is brilliant, which means the sadhu is seeing us not for who we are, for what we were, but for all that we can be in our most brilliant potential. And they commit themselves to make that prospect blossom, to become actualized, to become real. So the guru is not only our own potential appearing in front of us, but is someone who is showing us all that we can be and committing himself, herself to make that real, to make that fruitful. Because see, if we are only, if the guru is only our own potential appearing in front of us and that's it, without any facilitation and help, that can be intimidating also. That can be frightening, just to be confronted at every moment with all that I can be, but still I'm not. Let's put it that way. That can be even discouraging. That can be neurotic. If someone is constantly with good intention even, but remind me through his, her example, my brightest potential, but without how to say, helpful hand accompanying me on the journey to reach that, without that, just showing me all that I can be, without the other part of the equation, can create the exact opposite result, can create discouragement, can create neurosis, can create comparison, can create so many things that shouldn't happen, but sometimes they happen. Sometimes that's why I felt to say, not only the guru is our own potential appear in front of us, yes, but also he's a facilitator of that potential that the guru is embodying. No? So the guru is a generous presence in our lives, willing to sacrifice, willing to adapt, willing to serve the disciple, or the disciple to attain that the ultimate potential. That's like the passionate commitment of any genuine teacher, even on this world. Let's not talk about guru, spiritual Sadguru, but just, I don't know, if you find a good teacher in school or university, that teacher is not just there because they are paying to him and just copy pasting the lesson and looking at the clock when this is over. He becomes involved with the students and he wants them to learn, he wants them to grow, he becomes passionate about that. Ideally, again, a good teacher in this world. So what to speak of a spiritual teacher? That should be the norm, ideally. And of course, practical dynamics, different cases, each case is unique. But in principle, I will say, I think this is a healthy template to begin with. No, the guru is committed to draw upon, to extract, so to say, the highest potential from every person that comes to his, her shelter or guidance. That's kind of the contract between guru and disciple. It's mutual, it's reciprocal. It's not a one-way street where one is supposed to surrender and give and serve, but the guru is giving and serving and surrendering and in the same way. Should be. It's reciprocal. And sometimes it's happening, but we as disciples do not see it. We as disciples may have not been able to frame it as such. Maybe our guru has been serving us in a healthy way, but our framework was, I'm only supposed to serve this person. So I'm missing the part that I'm being served by the guru and I'm receiving, and I'm so much. So sometimes it's not that it's not there, it's just that we don't have the framework to understand what's taking place. And that's a tragedy unto itself. So yeah, guru is a facilitator of potential. And the guru is saying something, is saying all that we can be, not just something. And becomes committed to make that real, basically. That's a commitment of the guru. Now, as we were today quoting the very last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying to Arjuna after concluding the whole discourse, and Krishna is acting as guru there. Krishna is, of course, not only, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also Krishna is guru. Not only he's acting as guru with Arjuna, but Krishna is Jagat Guru, Param Guru. The Bhagavatam calls him like that, the guru of all universe, the supreme guru of everyone, the guru of all gurus. So he is the guru par excellence, God himself. And what is he asking Arjuna after speaking the whole Bhagavad Gita? Did you understand everything? No, was it clear what I say? And the implications of that question is, if it was not, I'm ready to speak the whole Bhagavad Gita again. And even if you need, I will speak it with 3,000 more verses to enter into more detail, so to say. So that's the commitment of the guru. That's the willingness of the guru. Like, are you understanding? Are you growing? Are you getting closer to your potential? Is this happening? If it's not happening, let's talk together about it. Let's have a conversation. Because it should be happening, although things get in the way. It's part of the journey. So that's also things that we can talk with the guru. And again, when I say guru, please keep in mind, don't limit the notion guru to one single person. Don't just think my Diksha guru. Sometimes there can be Siksha guru, complementary mentors, and all of them represent the same department. Ideally, all of them are working together. Not only guru-disciple, but different gurus in the service of one disciple. So there is a teamwork, and the guru, of course, should be grounded enough as to not feel threatened by the disciple's emergence of his or her own potential. Also, that's an important point. Because if I have many students and all my students are growing exponentially, I have to have the proper maturity and integrity to celebrate that instead of feeling threatened by that. It can happen, threatened by that. You are growing too much. You are even seeing things that I'm not seeing. You're having realizations I don't have. And if the guru doesn't have a proper sense of self-identity, becomes threatened by that, low self-esteem, starts to compare, and you have to just get rid of those quote-unquote troubling students that are just reaching more and more their own potential. I've seen that a few times, as you may imagine. No, you have that happens. No, the guru is supposed to celebrate the disciples' embrace of her own potential, but sometimes when the disciple starts to grow internally, have critical thinking, criteria, realizations, we have seen sometimes that guru feel threatened by that and start to try to cancel out the disciple. And that shouldn't be happening again. If the disciple is growing, the guru will jump into the party, so to say. Like again, that's the example of the Bhagavatam. What's the example of the Bhagavatam? The main guru of the Bhagavatam, in one sense, is Sukadeva Goswami, teaching Parikshit Maharaj. That's it. The main dialogue, the main conversation of the Bhagavatam, and the guru there is Sukadeva Goswami. When Sukadeva Goswami is speaking Bhagavatam to Parikshit, his guru, Sukadev's guru, Vyasadeva, is listening to him. He's not threatened by his disciple giving the class. He's running on the first row to listen in ecstasy to his disciple growing. And not only Vyasadeva is there, Narad Muni is there. Narad Muni, who is him, Vyasadev's guru. So that's the culture of the Bhagavatam. That's the message of the Bhagavatam. That's the type of gurus we are supposed to have, to be, to promote. Gurus that when their disciple is growing, maturing, attaining her potential, and something incredible is coming through them, we as gurus will just see it humbly, to honor that, to receive that, to celebrate that. So that's healthy psychology in Guru Tattva, let's put it that way, no? So I think that's also an important point, no? That the guru should have that maturity, capacity, integrity, so when the disciple is reaching that high potential, which means the guru is doing her job, that the guru can understand that and honor that and celebrate that and be humbled by that and not feel threatened. My disciple will become higher, more advanced than me, or whatever. Because again, ideally, the disciple is not trying to compete with the guru. The disciple is not trying to take the guru down, nor the guru is trying to put himself above the disciple. Ideally, both are working together. It's a teamwork. And if everyone does his part, I will say, naturally for the disciple, the guru will be above her head forever, naturally. But also for the guru, the disciple will be worshipable in his own way. As we were quoting the other day, I don't know if it was in the ISTAGOSTHI here or somewhere else, but this beautiful quote from Srila Prabhupada, when he's saying to one disciple, you depend on my mercy, but I depend on your mercy. And this is the mutual relationship we have, and it's a mutual dependence based on love. That's powerful. Now, Srila Prabhupada telling a disciple, he's saying, this is more intense. This is what he says in the letter. He says, you cannot survive without my mercy. And then he says, and I cannot survive without your mercy. Imagine a guru telling that to a disciple. I cannot survive without your mercy. So that's a natural humility and mutuality and reciprocity. Yeah. So I hope that helps. A few thoughts on this idea of what it means to be a facilitator of potential. And again, that's not limited to the guru also, no? Let's try to apply it broadly. And we should be facilitators of potential in every one of our relationships as much as we can. We should be real well-wishers to other people. I want to see you becoming all that you can be. Even if I cannot do too much for whatever reason, I want to wish you that. Even if because of some complex traumatic situation, I may need to take a distance from you, I still wish you that. I wish you can become all that you can be. Even if we are not there, at least knowing that it's healthy to reach that point at some point. So,
And
yeah.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I have to become like you.
No,
You help
please
me.
don't
You
become
help
like
me.
me. That's not interesting.
No. I'm talking about guru. I'm not expected to become like you. You're going to help me become fully me.
Exactly, individuation.
Yeah. So
That's why we talked about individuation a few chapters before, talking about guru disciple, no? Like implying all that stuff should be already included in that equation, of course.
It's such a foreign concept. Sorry, this new concept of guru is very different than I grew up with. So it's taking some reorientation.
I'm quoting the Bhagavatam to show how that's already there.
Yeah.
So in one sense, it's not new. I'm not inventing anything of my own. It's there in the Bhagavatam from thousands of years ago. Of course, I get your point.
Yes.
We have maybe received a different model, and not to criticize, not to look in the past and regret and resent, and no, whatever we received, and there is always place for gratitude in that connection and further refinement of whatever gift we have received. That process has no end. Even if what we received was, let's put it that way, perfectly bona fide and accurate from day one, still you can always continue to refine that. So, so that's our duty, no matter what we receive, how we receive. So yeah.
That's just the last piece. I'm sorry. Does this guidance include ability to get guidance on this level, or does it just have to be about spiritual topics like that?
I don't understand the question.
Is the guidance of the spiritual master, Guan's guru, does it include helping navigate the world as well as getting out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a general question. Of course, as much as a guru can do that, it's okay, but I wouldn't say that, because helping navigate the world sometimes requires, I don't know, someone needs therapy. And if the guru is not a professional therapist, she's not supposed to do that. So in that sense, there is place for the guru, not because the guru is not willing to offer that, but just that's not one's area of expertise. So one should have also the sincerity of acknowledging one's own boundaries and offer what we can. Ideally, the guru, offers a spiritual education, spiritual knowledge, spiritual example, but also pointing to the broader area of integration with humanity and emotions and psychology and whatever is required to navigate this experience. But again, that the guru is pointing to all of that doesn't mean that the guru will be expert in every single sense of that. No? So that's also an important point, because sometimes gurus without bad intention, but force themselves to just offer advice on every single department of knowledge, and that's not required.
Yes.
I mean, the guru may not be able to offer financial knowledge, I don't know, marital counseling, different forms of coaching, psychological support. As much as one can and is able to do that, that's great. And if not, that's great also, as long as you don't cancel the student of connecting with those the student requires to work on those things. So yeah,
I love that. So the guru would guide the disciple to get the help they need.
I will say that, yeah, if I'm your facilitator of potential, I will facilitate. Facilitator doesn't mean everything comes through me, but at least I will facilitate. I will open the doors. I will connect if I know someone. So yeah, facilitator is also like that, like an instrument. It's not just about me, so to say. It's just facilitating. Yeah. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
We'll go to the next raised hand. Mayapur Sangam.
Pranams, Maharaj.
Pranam.
Really basic question, maybe. I observed that you are not addressing your body with tilak, and I was asking if there is a certain reason behind it, because in other communities or sanghas, it has like a important value, so to say.
Okay, yeah, why not? I recently recorded a whole podcast with Namras, and I wouldn't say the whole topic is about that, but that's part of the topic. But I have my tilak here, just in case. I have my Radhakund tilak, my Panchapatra. Here is my mirror to the camera. So I'm showing all this because actually I put tilak every single day in the morning, but I don't remember if I talk about this in this ISTAGOSTHI, but yeah, as you may have noticed for some months already, it's not visible, but that doesn't mean it's not there. But I feel it's a personal thing, of course. No, so in the most substantial sense, I'm applying it every day. I put a little bit of Radhakunda tilak with water, Ganges water. It's not visible, but it's there. So for me, that's the most important part. Not so much that other people sees it. It's not for me like to show off. Like here I have tilak, but it's more as a personal meditation and so on. Personally, yeah, I find myself in certain chapter, as I mentioned the other day with Namrasa, that I feel a little inclined to reducing some of the external symbols of my order, or whatever you like to call it, to invite people to relate to me for who I am internally. No, like something like that. And again, I'm not saying everyone should do that. I'm not establishing any new tilak sampradaya or anything to that effect. Just a particular inspiration at the moment, which may change in time, but I felt that call like trying to reduce some of those external symbols and invite people to, if they are interested in getting to know me, and they will take the time to do so. If they are not interested, it's okay. And in that connection, also, as you already know, I've mentioned in the past, I've thought a few times even about the possibility of, at least for some time, stopping, not using devotional clothes either. Again, not because I don't like them. I love them. Very simple, very practical to travel around the world. But sometimes also they may create an idea of saintliness that just because of the cloth. And it may create an idea of saintliness to others and to one's own person. So I thought, okay, it may be healthy to be deprived from that and see what happens. And I even did that exercise a month ago. It was like 2 weeks just with normal clothes, quote unquote, whatever, that's normal. And it was fine. I mean, fortunately for me, it didn't make any difference. I didn't see myself like less saintly, more saintly, or whatever. But it's interesting how some of these things can create an impact in how people see you and relate to you. So yeah, I'm interested in connecting with people radically personally as much as I can, not so much that they put me in a certain box for the tilak I wear or the cloth I have or I don't have. So it's kind of a filter also. Those who will, I don't know, think, oh, Maharaj doesn't wear tilak, it means he's deviated, we will stop talking to him. Okay, so that shows me that they are not interested in knowing me in person. I'm not saying people are thinking like that, I'm just giving an example. And also in some particular environments where I'm moving myself, sometimes the tilak may create a little bit of an awkward impression to people. So it's not visible for them. But again, I'm using it. I'm putting it every day and it's there. No? It's not visible, just that's it. But it's there. So for me, that's the most important consideration, because also sometimes, if not, just putting tilak can become like a social thing. Like I know devotees who never use tilak and just put tilak for the Sunday feast, so to say. So it's just like part of the garments. Okay, I'm going to the temple, I have to put tilak. I'm supposed to put tilak. Everyone will have tilak. But it's not something that I care about during the week. It's just like a social ornament. I'm not condemning, I'm just saying. So it can also degrade in that direction. So yeah, that's from the place I'm doing that at this precise moment. it can change, no problem. And I'm not, again, anxious to have other people doing the same thing, or much less anxious criticizing those who wear tilak at all. Of course, if I'm in a place like in India, Vrindavan, I generally have the visible tilak because, yeah, due to the social dynamics and local sensibilities, let's put it that way. Also, I'm not trying to disturb anyone. And some people may get a little unsettled in India if you don't have tilak, or if I'm not wearing my sannyas robe. So there are, okay, I adjust to that. It's fine. There are all these for me are details. Ultimately, the important thing is from which place internally I'm doing what I'm doing. So I hope that helps. It's clear, Maya Prasangam.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I was guessing that.
Okay, thank you for the guest. Thank you for the question. Well, let's continue. Lakshmi Priya from
Haribol,
Austria.
Haribol,
Yes.
Haribol to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Maharaj, I have a commentary and a question, commentary/question. I am reading right now Radical Personalism, and I am completely mesmerized by it because it's the first time that that I can connect so much to the words of a Vaishnava. Because every little part I read is like, oh, I had this already in my life, so I can really identify with it. And I was meditating a little bit about what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, that the spiritual path is full of thorns, and nobody really wants to speak about those thorns. And I think that this book makes that actually from a very healthy side. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really healing. And there is one part of the book that really touched me. That is the part where you say that you upgrade your loyalty to your tradition through criticizing. Yeah, exactly. And I feel so so happy to read that, because I told you I'm going through certain things, and most of the things that I'm going through have to do exactly with this, that I am quite critical about many things, and I have like a sense of, I think that when we get even initiated, it's like Krishna gives us a little bit, of responsibility, like, okay, what do you do with this now? And sometimes in the environment I was in, I was feeling that it was not even ethical or not really matching my principles as a person. And I started to criticize a lot of the things I was questioning. And my question now, even in many of the sanghas, or in this so a little bit sometimes old-fashioned structures with a lot of hierarchies. For example, in your case, I mean, you're in a sannyasi position, so you have kind of a voice to say something. But in my level, how can I give this further? Like all the ideas in radical personalism that are completely aligned to that, what I think, how can I, from my position, give that further to others?
Yeah. Maybe you have to write your own book about that.
But nobody would read that, Maharaj.
Yes. Why not? Have trust. You have already here, we are 19. You have 19, your first 19 clients here. Yeah, I mentioned that at the end of the book also, right? I mentioned at the end of the book that, okay, I'm writing this book. I'm writing the book. I'm taking responsibility for what I'm writing. But it's an ongoing conversation, and everyone should write their own book, whether it's writing a book literally or writing it through their own life example, no? Because that's also writing a book. No, writing a book is just, right, living your life is your life is a book, let's put it that way, and living your life in a certain way is how you write your life, how you write the book of your life. So somehow or other, each of us is invited to embody their own version of that, of radical personalism. I don't want just to limit that to, I wrote the book, it's my book, I have radical personalism, all the copyrights for Swami Padmanabha, nobody else can say anything. No, that's not correct. Everyone has to find their own way to express the things, and which nuance and differences. So how to do it? I mean, I'm a sannyasi. I understand your point of having a voice or a position, and I'm trying to make best use possible of that. But I wouldn't go to the point of saying that only a sannyasi has a voice. No? Only a sannyasi has a platform. Only a sannyasi will be taken seriously. I can get the point that on one level that happens on some degree, and I think on one level I can understand if that happens naturally as a sannyasi, as a teacher, and if someone is of good example, okay, that may take some attention naturally. But we should also work in our community to empower each member to have their own voice heard. It's not just like, okay, I will only listen to what a sannyasi has to say. No? And what about any other devotee? Why not think that they may have something equally interesting to say? And sometimes we don't think that because we have been convinced ourselves that we have nothing good to say, and just only the guru or the sannyasi or whoever, we are meant to hear that, and we may just parrot what we are hearing. No, but no. We have to give ourselves permission to have our own voice, and that may take time. That takes time. It's not like immediately I can have my own voice and my platform, my whatever, but it's possible. We have to first of all, I don't know, in relation to what you mentioned. Now you have read Radical Personalism. You felt inspiration. I'm blessed by that. Thanks for sharing. Of course, and the question is how to extend the message to others. Of course, the immediate thing that comes is
Maharaj, not only to others, but like, for example, in the community, within, like, there are many people that are closed to. You are mentioning in the book, for example, that some people take like this established order or these teachings, like, are a little bit maybe old for the times, for the actual current times. And they are a little bit close to this. They don't identify that as love, but as a bad criticism.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Radical Personalism, I won't say that's a book that is for everyone. Exactly because of what you just said. So I'm not naive in that sense, expecting like, oh, may every devotee from the Gaudiya community read and appreciate this book and be blessed and benefit. Not necessarily. I'm not having that, like, the delirious of grandeur, delirious, like everyone should read this book, and that won't happen because many of the things are being said there are challenging. No, are challenging structures, challenging ways of doing things, challenging very ingrained patterns and assumptions and biases that may take generations to be properly aligned and uprooted or reshaped. Many things that need to die to be reborn in their new version. So not everyone is at least ready to listen to that. And with this, we have to also be careful not to think we develop some superiority complex, right? Like, okay, we are the ones who know what's going on, and these other guys are not getting it. No, I wouldn't go there necessarily. There's no need to go there. We have to remain compassionate, as others are being compassionate with us. And even if we like radical personalism, that doesn't mean we don't have our own shortcomings, our own biases, our own structures. I mean, who is free from that, right? So we should be very the very first thing is how I am embodying that myself, not even about sharing with others or not even about those who are close to that. What about me? Because I may like the book, but maybe there are many things that I don't like in the book unconsciously. And consciously I would say everything's nice, but when you try to apply that in practice, we may find so much resistance about, I mean, I'm talking for myself. no? Which is totally embarrassing. I'm writing a book about talking about something, and then in practice I realize I still disagree with my own writing. No, I mean, I agree in principle, but in practice I realized, wow, it's not so easy to embrace this in practice fully. So I need to work on myself instead of just expecting others to read the book or be inspired with that. If I myself, I'm not doing all that I can do to embody the teaching, my trying to convince others or share with others is escapism, basically. And many times that can become escapism. Externally, it seems like compassion, trying to help others and to extend the message. But many times it's just a way of not going so deep as I could in internalizing those things in my own practice, on a sustainable way, not going neurotic. So yeah, I will say that I wouldn't try to just to see everyone doing what is inspiring me at the present moment, something like that, because I may read the book and say, wow, this is so inspiring, inspires me so much. But to expect that everyone else should be inspired with that, that's not, I would say that's not healthy even, no? Because that make, I'm not saying in your case, in general, that may have some lack of empathy. Okay, this inspires me and everyone should be inspired with this. Why? Everyone is in a different situation, a different stage, in a different chapter, in a different mood. So this is not necessarily for everyone. And it doesn't mean that those who do not like this book, let's say, are less advanced or are wrong. No, as long as they don't like my book, they are not as advanced. No, that would be madness if I say that. Some people may advance and grow without the need of going so much in detail about some of the things we go in radical personalism, and they can grow in their own way. So that there are also different ways to advance. Of course, that doesn't mean that whomever doesn't like the book is disliking it for the right reasons, so to say. Some people may not like the book because there are things that are challenging them that they need to be challenged about that, and they are not seeing that. But again, we should see that with compassion also. No, we shouldn't just like point at, you are an escapist, you are escaping your destiny, you should read this book and you are not liking it. That means you don't want to confront the thing you need. I mean, that's not radical personalism. At that moment, we are betraying the very content of the book we want to promote, so to say. No? So yeah, we should be, again, Prabhupada will say, strict with yourself, merciful with others. In this connection, I'm saying, not like trying to, how much can I apply this myself? How much I can go deep in this? If I can share that with others naturally, okay. If some people, it's not willing, it's not ready, whatever the word, I don't want to push that. No, it has to happen naturally, organically. That's what I will say. That's how I try to do it myself, of course. No? Because of course I write a book and I'm passionate about what I'm writing. If not, I wouldn't take the time to write a whole book about what I'm passionate about. And naturally, after I write the book, I publish the book. No? And then I'm of course I would like to see people reading it, not because so much reading my book, but because there's something that I feel it's good for people. It helped me, it helped others. So I want to see people receiving help and nourishing and hope. But also, yeah, I find so many times in my attempt to extend that to others that not everyone is willing or ready, and that's a big lesson also for me. What do I do in that moment? Do I become angry? Do I start to criticize? Do I start to judge them? Am I compassionate? What's my reaction? How do I feel? So immediately I'm put to test how much I'm walking my talk. So yeah, so that's what I will say to others as well, in their own way, trying to walk your talk as much as possible. Does it make sense? Does it help?
Totally. I was just wondering because like I feel like this, like it's not that I'm discovering something new. It's like, oh, and it's like I feel exactly the same, but when I try to practice things for myself, I don't know how to deal sometimes with this fear of rejection somehow, you know, that comes maybe from certain ways. So, yeah.
Yeah, fear, yeah, of course, fear of rejection is a whole conversation in itself, but how to say, we have fear of, we were talking about that in today's Bhagavad Gita class a few hours ago, that maybe that's one of the things we fear the most, right? We fear to be rejected, to not belong,
Yeah.
to not be part, to be alone, and that rejection may prove that we are unlovable, unworthy, things that sometimes we tell ourselves already. And sometimes if rejection comes, it's kind of it's seen as a confirmation. You're unworthy, you're unlovable. So we fear that the most, because that's what's after that. So I think it's important to develop a solid sense of self-identity, in which, and I know it's not easy, but it's not impossible either, in which more and more we are more strong in ourselves. So if sometimes rejection comes, blasphemy comes, criticism comes, not constructive one, of course, we are not affected by that. No, I mean we are not affected, not in an indifferent, insensitive way, but we can understand from where it's coming. We can be compassionate, we can be understanding, and we are not taking things personally. And we deeply know that we already belong. Krishna loves me unconditionally. I already belong. If everything is interrelated and interconnected with Krishna in the center, as Richard Rohr will say, everything belongs. No? So we need to pursue in our practice this experience that how everything is already part of something. We are already part of something bigger than ourselves. We already belong. And of course, we need relationships in this life to make us experience that, no? To relate with people that we are really accepted for who we are. If I'm being rejected, like there's this famous quote, I think I mentioned that in Radical Personalism, I don't recall it literally, but something like, better to be rejected for who you are than to be accepted for who you are not. Right? So, and we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with the fact that the more I try to be myself, the more many people will reject that, because they feel threatened by that for whatever unresolved, unredeemed issues they have. So I cannot just please everybody, right? Because for pleasing someone, I have to stop being myself. For pleasing others, I have to be myself. So I have to decide, who I want to be, with whom I want to be. So of course, the ideal choice will be, I want to be myself. And if someone doesn't like that, okay, I wish you the best, but sorry, that's who I am. I just can't be myself. I don't want to betray myself. So I should be, personally, I would say, instead of being fearful of being rejected, we should fear more betraying ourselves.
Yes.
Because again, I can betray myself and not be rejected by certain social group, but I betray myself. So what's worse? So better to try to be who we are, as sincere as we can, and honoring those who honor that, and that's our Sangha, that's our family, that's our tribe, so to say. And if someone doesn't want me to be who I am, that's not personal. That's not actually about us. It's something that the other person have not fully solved yet, and somehow gets projected. And when someone is working on themselves, becomes too much of a trigger, so they need to keep it out of their sight because they get too threatened by that. So we should understand that and see that with compassion also, without playing the victim. It was personal against me. I'm blaming everyone and becoming resentful. No need for that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you. So we have Gayatri raising her hand from Texas.
Good morning, pranams, Maharaj, lots of love for you and everyone else here, of course, as well too. Just wanted to check in with Yuval Kishore had his hand up and then put it down.
Yeah, I saw also that. So what happened, Joel Kishore? Why that sudden disappearance? That's a total lack of etiquette to do that. Do you know that?
I like to think of it as gracefulness personally.
We can make a new list of online apparatus, and one of them is you raise your hand and Zoom and then take it out. Unforgivable.
No, others have important questions. You know, I think mine's not so important for right now.
I'm not so sure about it. If that's important for you, it's important then.
I mean, if
it's
you really,
important for you, that's a question.
It is important for me, but
no but, make the question.
Okay, all right.
Sometimes we have to be a little tough, sorry.
Sure. Okay. So I mean, partly it's an observation and a comment to the observation. And then that's why I thought maybe not to ask, because this isn't something where like I expect an answer from you, Swami, like,
okay.
You know, resolve this. But, you know, through listening to so many conversations of yours in the last few months, I noticed there's, you know, we can find concordance with like certain Christian principles, certain Jewish principles, certain Buddhist principles even. And yet it seems the voice of Islam is somewhat silent. And then the only thing I thought was the thing when I tried to relate that to like my previous experiences in devotional communities, there was actually a lot of vitriol and negativity about Islam in general. And then, of course, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, they talk so much about how the Muslim conquerors and, you know, they're just some sort of warlord tyrants. So I feel like our Gaudiya community has a really bad, what's the word I want? Relation to Muslims, and it goes beyond just Gaudiya faith. There's also currently in India a very strong Islamophobic current coming from their president, coming from this sort of nationalistic tendency around the world, that yes, like India is the land of the Hindus, and you know, kick out the invaders, and you know, America is the land of the white whatever, and kick out the others. And you know, so it's just something that's been in the back of my mind for a long time. I personally have Muslim friends. I personally am interested in certain types of relating to certain types of their worship, and yet it is something that's very foreign to me. And I don't want it to be just as cheap as, oh, okay, Sufi is very good because Sufi is like kirtan and and that's that. But like something deeper than that. There was a comment that a Swami had made years ago that I used to follow online. And he very strongly and critically said, like, Islam simply does not have the concept of avatar or incarnation that the other major religions seem to share. And I thought maybe that's not, at first I was disturbed because I'm like, oh my God, is that true? Like, is this just like a faulty religious tradition? But now I'm thinking back to a few months ago when you were talking about, I think it was something like Shakti Vaish avatar, you know? So like, yeah, maybe there isn't theologically a principle for God's actual descent, but at the same time, we cannot deny that Muhammad, the prophet, peace be upon him, is a Shakti Vaish avatar, I would think to say, from you know, from our language. So I don't know, these are the things that have been in my mind. Now you can all be very disturbed that I asked this.
Thank you for sharing. On a personal level, I would say I'm not that schooled about Islam as I may be in other traditions. So to begin with, I wouldn't dare to share an opinion that is anyway conclusive, because I need to take time to study that in detail. Of course, I'm aware of so much conflict in connection to Islam coming from India, from other traditions, and so many, weird, so to say, things done in the name of Islam, as of course we find weird things done in the name of any tradition as well. So I don't also want to be quick to judge a tradition for certain things. And even go into scriptural sections. We have always weird scriptural sections everywhere, or cultural expressions to uncertain times. That's my point. At certain times were normal, and trying to read them and apply them literally now, they do not work. At the same time, I also have some Muslim friends. I'm especially, of course, as you may imagine, but I'm especially drawn to, if I have to pick something in Islam, will be Sufism. Of course, I mean, I've quoted I've read a few times in our gathering something from Rumi. So he was a Muslim, a very particular one, of course. I'm quoting him in the third book I'm writing. And I've been quoting a few things from the Quran also in the book. I've been writing the fourth one on unconditional love, which, of course, for example, there are some sections that says that Allah loves those who submit to his will. So that makes sound more of a conditional love than unconditional. But also there are many passages. I've been talking with some scholars. I have a scholar friend from Islam, and they have a word called Rama with some H in between, so probably I'm mispronouncing it absolutely. That refers to Allah's mercy or compassion, and one word called Rahim also that I remember I quote, that also speaks about Allah's mercy and compassion in action. There's also this interesting concept in Islam of barakah. So barakah refers to the overflow of God's love permeating all creation. So, I mean, I can totally resonate with that. No, like in the whole material creation, God's love is like interpenetrating everything, so to say. So I'm sure there are things we will disagree with, like maybe the example that you mentioned regarding the non-avataric notion, and of course they don't also agree with any like representation of the divine, so to say, in form. And of course we don't have that stance, so I don't want also to be cheaply saying, hey, we're all one and we agree on everything. I never say that. I'm sure if we have open, deep, honest, profound conversations with deep practitioners of any tradition, we will certainly agree of universals. But yeah, that's all I can say. But I agree that it will be healthy to open the door for more further dialogue, further conversation, further listening to each other, and also not, well, again, I'm not saying one thing nor the other, but many times, and this is beyond Islam, but including it, many times just we reach conclusions about people or groups by, I don't know, some YouTube video that a friend of us sent us that lasts for 1 minute 30 seconds, and we should be careful about taking the necessary time to study other traditions. I mean, sometimes we don't even have studied our own tradition in detail. So we may need to begin there first. But my point is that sometimes we conclude about other traditions very conclusively, but you have not studied your own tradition in detail. So that's kind of like, what's that? No. Now, how can you be so sure about other tradition that when you are not very clear about your own tradition? So we should be careful. That's my point. We should have some modesty while opening the mouth and talking about anything, especially other people, other traditions. Yeah, that's what I will say. I need to shut my mouth at this point because I'm not that informed about Islam, although I'm willing and open to to become more educated about it. As you know, in my openness to share and invite people even to my podcast and have conversations and exchanges in a way that is coherent, of course, to our principles and values. So that's what I will say. But
I look forward to that next ISTAGOSTHI. Maybe your scholar friend.
I've thought about that, so that may be probably a chance. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gayatri, now you can do it.
Right on. Didn't mean to call you out, Yugal Kishore, but you always have great questions. My dad, by the way, Maharaj, grew up in the town that Yugal Kishore is currently in. So I love all these different geographic connections along the way. Thanks for the mic. I just have a quick question specific to our tradition. I've not spent much time in the temple or a temple to date. We have a big celebration coming up this week in terms of Radha's appearance day. So curious about the correct ways to celebrate that this week. Any suggestions for people like me?
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Shri Radhastami ki jai. Well, so we will be celebrating the appearance day of Sri Radha, and of course appearance day as usually. That will happen on Wednesday, at least in my Italian local timing. I will be in Italy by that time, so hopefully also we'll have a program, and hopefully we will have internet connection to extend that to all of you. How to celebrate it correctly? That's an interesting question, because in one sense there is no single way of doing that, right? In the sense of there's not like, okay, you begin like this at this time of the day, then you do that, then this follows, and then you have celebrated Radhastami correctly. So now you're legal, by doing that in that way. There are different ways, devotees as well. In terms of doing things, of course, there's always in temples, what's the usual way of celebrating that externally? There will be kirtan, there will be arti, there will be harikatha related to her. There will be a study, reading of scriptures. There will be abhishek sometimes, bathing of the deity. And again, but some of you may not be able to go to temples. You may not be able to bathe a deity because you don't have a deity. And nothing of that makes your celebration less. At the end of the day, Bhavagrahi Janardana, Krishna, Radha in this case, they will take the essence of our attitude. So in one sense it's simpler, in one sense it's more challenging. Because the essence of our attitude, that means I have to have an essence of an attitude to offer that day, right? So I have to go to the essence. So ways to celebrate that, of course, is just to basically to try to bring our attention and our presence and our focus to what's going on that day. Like let's make it simple. Let's say, like you mentioned, your father, Gayatri, living in the area where Yugal Kishore is, or being born there. So your father, let's say your father's birthday. Let's say today's your father's birthday. So what will you do on your father's birthday, right? He will be especially present for you on that day. Every day, but especially on that day. And hopefully you can see it, you can give some gift, you can try to please that person, you can offer yourself for the pleasure of the object of your affection. You will spend some considerable time and energy in letting that person know how much you love him, her, and so on. So let's just beginning from a pragmatic human level of celebration. And then we can apply somehow that same template to the divine. Of course, I'm not saying it's the same, but it's very similar. You can, on that day, become specially aware of that personality. In this case, Sri Radha. Of course, there are so many other celebrations. Trying to prepare some gift, whatever, in whatever form. It can be an offering of cooking, it can be a kirtan, it can be a poem, it can be some prayer, it can be your presence. but try to enter into that spirit of gift. No, ultimately we are the gift. We are to give ourselves. We are the offering. But sometimes the giving of our heart takes shape. No, so it takes shape of something we cook, some offering we done, some special decoration. So many things. No, some devotees who like to draw, to make art, to compose a song. I mean, there's no limit, literally. You can make a whole theater drama for the pleasure of Sri Radha. You can enact some pastimes by yourself. There's nobody else in the house. You perform some lila that represents whatever. Just saying how many things. There's literally no limit. So also that's the point, is what feels more inspiring to you. No, like if for your father you will feel inspired to give him certain gifts, and some other daughter will feel inspired to give their father some other gifts. But if in both cases coming from the depths of their heart, but externally, one is a piece of cloth, another is a surprise dinner, another is a song composed. I mean, so one has also to individuate one's gift, so to say, right? It's not necessary to fall into, like, how to say, yeah, like generalize the temple. Okay, today's birthday, I'm supposed to give a gift, and on a birthday the gift is supposed to be a shirt. So every time it comes a gift, everyone should give a shirt to the. No, that's not practical. He will have too many shirts. So in the same way, instead of looking for a generic form of giving the gift, is like, what makes my heart beat, especially how can I offer a gift today? What can I give? How can I give myself? So that's something I will say very special, very important. I know some devotees like that I come to my mind in this moment. Some of them like to cook so much, no, for Sri Radha, never too much, but so much, no, like make 108 preparations, and maybe they are not in a temple with thousands of people, just themselves. No, but they like to cook and prepare varieties of offerings, and you can see they are in their elements doing that, no. And some others is not so much in the kitchen. It will be, again, writing something for them, no, and others will be just speaking about them. I don't know. So many things. No, we have to be creative also. Bhakti is very much about creativity. So I will say that I wouldn't make any hard and fast rules like this is the way to celebrate. This is the way to make a gift. This is the way to be conscious of her. Whatever it's more favorable. Anukulyasa sankalpa pratikulyasa varjanam. Whatever is favorable for your Krishna consciousness, for your Radha consciousness, that's what's favorable for you. That's what's to be embraced. No? So again, generally it may help for most of us. We generally read something or hear some conversations about the person we are celebrating that day, especially if we are not that much embedded in that. That may help. And there are so many resources, so many lectures about that, given on that day, given in previous Radhastamis or sections in the scripture. So that's also, of course, a very nice complement to create that absorption. But from that naturally comes the, okay, how do I give myself to this incredible embodiment of love, so to say. So I don't know if that helps. That's
Perfect.
what it.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. You will have a very interesting Radhastami celebration.
Yeah, apparently this week will be a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Looking forward to know which was the gift.
Yes, indeed. Me too. I'll give that some
I'm
thought
sure.
today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have two more hands raised. Jugal Kishore again. Now he feels encouraged. We invited him to ask. Now nobody can stop him. I know him. Let's see if we have time, Jugal Kishore. Sorry to censor you again, because I'm coming from another lecture, and as you know, in a few minutes I'll have another meeting apart from this one. So, but let's see. First, we'll honor the raised hand of Madhumati. So please, Madhumati, from Canada, right?
Yes.
There, you are
Yes.
there. Yeah. I cannot avoid thinking of you in terms of California, because we met there last year. So
Right. Exactly. Well,
Canada.
my daughter's in California, and I keep thinking she's in Canada because she grew up. So I know it's.
Anyhow.
But I know I keep reflecting on meeting you in California as well. So
Okay,
it's really,
looking
really nice.
forward for the.
I want to reflect more on Yugal Kishore's comments on the Muslim tradition, and I just wanted to say that in the last year, I've become dear friends with two lovely Muslim women, and you know, the traditional in that they cover their heads, but how they are personally is so full and warm, generous, human, and loving that we become very close to one another. And I'm really happy to have that. And in addition to that, well, I'll say one thing with one of my friends. I was talking to her about what happened at the devotee community of Sharnagati with the fire. And I said, I know that you don't have a representation of God in your tradition, but in my tradition, we do. And I said, my daughter's huge Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra deities, which are now residing at her father's home, gigantic. And in spite of this whole fire, that house with Jagannath residing there, made of wood, did not burn down. And she could really appreciate that. In spite of that not being her tradition, she could understand that there's sacredness and a sacred space. So I was really happy to find the words to convey that to her, and while acknowledging her tradition. And the second thing I wanted to say is she invited me to go on a picnic to a lovely lake. So of course, yes. And then when we were almost there, she said her other friend that was going to be there is an imam. And I was immediately, oh my God, an imam. He's going to be so strict and sober and critical. Like, how am I going to survive this picnic with an imam? You know, he's one of the most lovely human beings I've ever met. He was jolly and happy, and the same thing, open and generous. And you know, he's a chaplain, a non-denominational chaplain in a jail. And we were just teasing him about, you know, that he's in jail all the time. And he was just hooting with that. And you know, just so many of the things we talked about our lives, you know, and I said, you know, we have certain beliefs, yet we don't want to impinge those beliefs on other people. And we were just so happy to have those agreements, and without critiquing whatever each one of us must believe. So I think if we had a broader vision, that hopeful, but you know, again, it comes down to personally and having that. And now I've invited the imam. I want to come to have him visit where I volunteer and maybe help some of the people that have come from Arab countries to, he speaks English and Arabic. So, maybe you can come and help teach some of these people the English, and I want to go to his mosque and hear him speak in English. So the relationship is very dynamic, very personal, very loving. So that's my thoughts so far.
Thank you. Thanks for the reference and further broadening of the picture. And of course, there's always wonderful people in any tradition. The fact that we have not met them yet, that doesn't mean, it's like, again, let's reverse the whole thing, and someone met a Gaudiya Vaishnava who was not the most exemplary representative of the tradition. And some person will say, those Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they won't say Gaudiya Vaishnava, but those people are absolutely crazy. And probably that guy was absolutely crazy, but that doesn't mean that the tradition is that, no? So it's so easy to be misled by. So yeah, it takes time it shows also how willing we are to take the time to get to know another person or another tradition, which is a way of getting to know not only another person, but many people who are part of that tradition. So it always takes time and willingness. So it's healthy to have that willingness. Even if we don't have the time, for whatever reason, some people may not have the time to go deep into other traditions, but at least to have the willingness, the openness to the hope, the openness that there's healthy human beings in different mystical schools, for sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yugal Kishore, question, comment? You put your hand out.
Sure. I mean, since we have time,
We don't have that much time, but yeah,
10 minutes, 9 minutes, maybe.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, I'll put this into 30 seconds.
Okay.
Though I have to first say, Madhumati, thank you so much for sharing. Honestly, very, very beautiful. Something that kind of dawned on me recently is like, you know, maybe it's a manner of speech that when you're saying farewell to someone, even that term, you know, we might say, enjoy the rest of your day, or, you know, I hope you have a great time at the festival. What are we really trying to say? Because I guess in what rights do we have to actually enjoy nature, to enjoy the weather, the day, the environment, to enjoy sleep, to enjoy food, to enjoy company? Do we have rights to actually say that, to like, is it okay? Is it okay for us to drop our guards and actually receive a little bit of pleasure from this world? Not in a sense that it has to be conceived of separately from Krishna or only in conjunction with Krishna, but like as part and parcel, we can enjoy too.
Yeah, I know that's a big taboo word, enjoyment, right? For those elders in our community here, sometimes the word enjoyment has been a little bit stigmatized, not only for the elders, because it's very quickly related to sense enjoyment, and sense enjoyment translates as lust, and lust ends up being a capital sin, and you are basically in hell. That's how the sequence plays out in 3 seconds in one's mind. After you hear the word enjoyment, you're burning in the eternal flames. But yeah, I think we need to relax a little bit and redeem this word enjoyment. The word enjoyment includes the word joy. Enjoyment doesn't mean that you are a brutal exploiter of the resources of your environment and you're a public danger to society by eating an ice cream, so to say. Because again, we are joking, we are laughing not to cry. Susukam Kartum, Krishna says this, you can translate that line of the Gita, Susukam Kartum, bhakti has to be performed joyfully. You can say also, you can enjoy. There should be place for enjoyment. And it's not only enjoy your rounds and enjoy, because even sometimes we say nothing can be enjoyed. All the enjoyment goes to Krishna. That's selfish. But I will say again, we are trying to cultivate a sense of identity in which we understand that we do not exist separate from anything and anyone, what to speak of Krishna. So if I'm sincerely trying to cultivate that mode of existence, when I speak about my enjoyment, it's never my enjoyment. I'm not a separate unit. Okay, again, in principle, we may lack that realization, but the more I'm trying to live my life from that place, the more my quote-unquote enjoyment won't be like something that is fostering more and more sense of separateness and creating my own isolated bubble where I'm trying to enjoy for myself. And so if that's the case, okay, that's what the scriptures quote-unquote criticize. Now, when you really go on that trip of separateness, and you see yourself as the ultimate converging point, and the supreme enjoyer, you are not the supreme enjoyer. That doesn't mean you cannot be an enjoyer, right? Sometimes they want to use this word. You are not the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We agree, but that doesn't mean we cannot enjoy at all in any way. So again, if our sense of enjoyment brings joy, like the word implies, enjoyment, no, there's joy there. And it's a healthy sense of enjoy, balances our humanity, and keeps us in proper perspective to relate to Krishna in gratitude. I mean, I wouldn't say there is a crime. No, again, if it becomes a distraction of who we are, distraction of our connection with the center, with everything, okay, we can talk about it, and we should adjust something. Because of course, everything can become excessive. Anything done excessively is not healthy. But Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, chapter 6, Yuktahara Viharasya Yuktacha. You should be balanced in your eating, in your sleeping, in your being wakened, in whatever you do, in your recreation. You may call recreation enjoyment. You may call eating enjoyment. You may call sleeping enjoyment. You may call being awake enjoyment if you're having a good time. Because you have to be balanced. To balance doesn't mean do not enjoy. That's not balanced. That's an extreme. No, so balance means there is place for that in a way that it doesn't become escapism and evasiveness, distraction. That's the main spirit. No? Like just to conclude, like when we talk about, for example, this regulative principle of no intoxication, and that's another big conversation. We were talking the other day with some devotees in Switzerland about it. Actually, the principle is about, I will say, no escapism, right? The intoxication for me in this case is ingesting some substances to escape reality, to deny what needs to be confronted. And interestingly enough, I would say that in some traditions, like shamanic traditions, there is a sacred way of ingesting substances, not to escape reality, but to confront reality. So I wouldn't call that intoxication. You follow my point? Because the principle is I want to confront reality as it is and integrate and heal and grow. So the escapism is escapism from all that. And you can be breaking that principle just with social media. I mean, you have all that intoxication in your pocket, escapism.com, right? Even if you are not ingesting any substance and you are legal in that sense, you can be breaking that principle in so many other ways. And so escapism can happen in so many ways. So we should be able to draw the essential principle from that. So the same applies to what we are talking here in terms of enjoyment, right? So, yeah, that's what counts briefly again. So we'll conclude here, but please don't leave for a minute. Just closing the session, and as you may imagine what comes next. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Harinam Prabhu ki jai, Shri Gaur Gadadhar Gaur Nityananda Ji ki jai, Shri Ram Madan Mohan Radha Govinda Dev Radha Gopinath Ji ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Vancha
Dr. Ross got her hand up.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavi.